Hi, my name is Kelsey Bakken, and I'm a contract environmental technician for the USDA Southeast Climate Hub, and I'll be presenting on current and emerging risks to Southeast US forests. So this is second in a series of presentations from the Southeast Climate Hub, and I'll be setting the stage by introducing different threats to southeastern forests. So forests in the Southeast have always faced different threats that cause mortality, like hurricanes and sea level rise, which were discussed in detail in a previous presentation by Nancy Gibson, also from the Southeast Climate Hub, and drought, insects, wildfire, and more. Climate change is also changing how these different threats are impacting forests, and forest management will also need to change to include different adaptation strategies for addressing these threats. Management will be discussed in later presentations from the Southeast Climate Hub by Elijah Worley and Eva Paradiso. In this presentation, I will provide a background of these threats and how they are and will impact southeastern forests. First, to set the scene of the Southeast, here's a map of the different ecoregions of the Southeast. Ecoregions are areas that have similar ecosystem compositions, which include geology, soils, and vegetation. Displayed on the map is level 3, and there are 4 different levels of ecoregions, each level higher becoming more specific and detailed. So here we can see the Blue Ridge ecoregion and the Coastal Plain ecoregion, and those are just to name a few of them. Common forest types in the Southeast are oak hickory, oak pine, loblolly shortleaf pine, longleaf slash pine, and these are just the major forest types. So there are many other forest types as well, like other mixed hardwood conifer forests. Now getting into the threats that impact the Southeast. Hurricanes are a powerful and destructive disturbance that can cause extensive mortality in southeastern forests, and they impact areas across the Southeast, not just on the coast. The bottom image shows billion-dollar disasters in 2020, and as you can see, many of these disturbances that impacted the United States specifically impacted the Southeast region, and many of those disturbances were hurricanes. The black trend line on the figure on the right shows observed mean hurricane frequency and how it has increased since 1960. Hurricane intensity has already been increasing, like I discussed, and the frequency and intensity is expected to continue to increase into the future as well. The image on the right shows changes in the frequency of tropical cyclone days of very intense hurricanes. The Southeast area and the North Atlantic Basin are outlined in the red circle, and here we can see the results from a 25-year predictive model showing an increase in very intense hurricanes in this area. Another major threat to Southeast forests is drought. Drought can negatively impact the health of trees, and that growth may be impacted for years following the drought itself. In the image below, we can see growth rings of a tree and 2 drought periods, which shows slower growth of a tree, and so the rings are closer together. And here we can see those closer rings here, and then also here. And this reduced growth can decrease the potential yield of timber and have a negative economic impact. The map on the right shows drought severity from 1987 to 2013 using a cumulative drought severity index created from the sum of monthly PDSI drought classes. The Southeast has undoubtedly seen severe droughts, and this can definitely impact the distribution of tree species, biodiversity of forests, and growth and production. There are predicted increases in the variability of precipitation and possible increase in the frequency and intensity of droughts. Precipitation predictions vary across areas of the Southeast, which we can see in the maps on the right. And it also shows that generally there will potentially be wetter fall, winter, and spring seasons, but drier and hotter summers for a time period of 2041 to 2070. And drought not only impacts the growth of trees, as I discussed earlier, but it also increases the susceptibility to other threats like insects and wildfire. In fact, just 30 days of drought can dry fuels in all size classes, including living fuel, and increase the risk of wildfire. Also, severe drought stresses trees and reduces the ability of a tree to defend itself against bark beetle attacks. So mortality from insects can increase following drought as well. There are many native and non-native insects that impact forests in the Southeast, like gypsy moth, spotted lanternfly, emerald ash borer, and hemlock woolly adelgid, and those are just to name a few. Southern pine beetle particularly is the most destructive beetle to southeastern forests, and it is a native bark beetle. A report from Pye and others from 2011 estimated the economic impact from damage from the southern pine beetle was about $1.2 billion over a 28-year period, or about $43 million per year. Insects can change forest composition and structure in unique ways, because unlike abiotic disturbances, they often favor specific tree species, so only those specific species experience direct mortality. Climate change can also expand the ranges of insects, which we can see on the figure to the right, showing suitable habitat for the southern pine beetle for some different climate models. The right three panels are future predictions for 2060, and most models are showing northward range expansion, which we can see by the darker colors moving higher in the map. There may also be reduced winter mortality of insects and perhaps more generations per year, which means larger insect populations to influence our forests. We all hear about the devastating wildfires in the West, but the Southeast by number has over 50% of all wildfires in the United States. About 45,000 occur each year in this region. Some ecosystems in the Southeast do need fire, like longleaf pine, to maintain structure and composition, which reduces competing species that are not as fire tolerant. And there are some forests in the Southeast that are not fire tolerant, like loblolly pine, and wildfires here can cause a loss of timber in the way of tree damage and mortality. And the map on the right shows wildfire risk across the Southeast, the dark areas being more at risk of wildfire than the lighter colors. The potential for wildfire will most likely increase along with fire season length. Fire seasons may also become present where there are none currently. And you can see on the image on the right, the red bars show future fire season predictions for 2041 to 2070, compared to the present fire seasons in green. The risk of large wildfires could also increase, especially in the coastal plain and Appalachian mountain ecoregions. So forests in these areas may experience more wildfires and subsequent impacts into the future. Sea level has risen globally about 3 inches since 1990, and some areas of the southeastern United States are experiencing higher rates. This map shows vulnerability to sea level rise, and as you can see, some coastal areas are more vulnerable than others. And in these areas, there could be conversion of coastal forests to more saline habitats like salt marshes. As sea level continues to rise, coastal forested areas may experience more of that habitat conversion, with flooding and increased soil salinization, which can lead to regeneration failure and tree mortality. And so on the coast, we may see more of these ghost forests, which you can see on the image on the bottom. The figure to the right shows how sea level rise has showed an increase of 3.26 millimeters per year as a trend. And models show that it is predicted to continue to rise by up to 20 to 180 centimeters in the next 80 years. So what's next? We at the Climate Hub are working to address these threats by developing guides and tools to assist landowners in managing for these disturbances. Guides include the Hurricane and Salinization Guides, which was presented by Nancy Gibson earlier in the conference, and digitally interactive tools, which include Tecmo, which is already available for use, and Fort and Famous, which are being developed right now. And you'll hear more about those tools from other presentations from the Southeast Climate Hub as well. And so that concludes my presentation. Thank you. And next in the series of presentations from the Climate Hub is adapting traditional forest management practices to address current and emerging forest threats, presented by Elijah Worley. And I'll take questions now. And also I included my email on the bottom, so anyone can email me any questions that they don't have a chance to ask today. Thank you.